Go ahead and start.
Well, thank you for joining us, and whether you're joining us live or joining us later, I'm Roger, and this is Albina.
Hi.
And we're in Taos, New Mexico, and we are at the Blue Sky Retreat Center, which is our property, where we host yoga retreats, and we have a bed and breakfast here. It's on 3 beautiful acres. And this training, this 200-hour training that we're going to lead is virtual. This will be our third, or well, we're in the middle of one now, so this will really be our 4th online 200-hour teacher training. We started doing these once the pandemic hit the States. We asked ourselves, what is it that we can do, that we know how to do? And the technology was there. We weren't sure how it was gonna work out, but the technology was there, and so we gave it a try, and we have been beyond impressed what we're able to do via Zoom. So we have led many 200-hour foundational yoga teacher trainings and advanced teacher trainings as well out of our former life as yoga studio owners in Houston, Texas at Yoga One. And this is really this has been our foray into continuing to teach what we know about yoga and about the yoga philosophy and about personal growth, which we'll talk about a little bit, online. So the good news about this is that you can do it from wherever you want. And doesn't matter if your dog or cat's in the room or your kids bust in, it's all okay. And we've been able to really make a big impact. So we've trained about 100 teachers since we started, and
since the pandemic.
Yeah, and 1,000 or more prior to that. So let us tell you a little bit about ourselves, and then about the program, and then let you ask whatever questions you may want to ask. And if someone joins later, they can ask then. And if you aren't able to ask in real time right now, you can always reach us, Albina at albinarippy.com, and through her website. And so maybe we should just tell a little bit about ourselves. Do you want to talk about you and us first?
Go ahead.
Well, I've been talking the whole time, so you go.
Well, as Roger mentioned, we used to own 7 yoga studios in Houston, Texas, and we've been leading these trainings starting in 2008, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a while, graduating hundreds and hundreds of trainees over the years. And one of the reasons we did that is because this is one of the ways we get to share our passion and our love for yoga. This is also the way we grew our amazing community, trained our own teachers, and helped people dive deeper into yoga, which, as you know, is not just the physical exercise, it goes beyond the asana. And even though our teacher training is rooted in the asana practice and meditation and pranayama breathing, hands-on assist, anatomy, yoga philosophy, I would say what differentiates us from other teacher trainings is, I'll just speak on my own behalf. We use yoga as a vehicle for personal growth and transformation, or you can call it spiritual growth and development.
Mm-hmm.
So whether or not you believe in it, the practice of yoga, the asana, the meditation, the breathing, they have a tremendous power. And that power, through the practice, you get to step into that power. And slowly but surely, the way you see the world starts shifting. And what I call you start shaping your reality, you start shaping your destiny. And at some point, it is my deepest belief that through this practice, we get to tap into our happiness and joy and literally create the life of our dreams.
Yeah. And she ventured a little bit into what our training is about. And I'll back up and just tell you a little bit about us. Albina's from Kazakhstan, and I'm from Fort Worth, Texas. And we met in Houston, Texas, where we lived at the time and lived for 20 plus years. And when we started dating, we started yoga together. Our very first yoga classes were together. And so we've been on this journey together since around 2000. That was our first yoga classes. And we started, like a lot of people, in Bikram yoga. We moved into Ashtanga yoga. And then we both, Albina went really into a deep dive into forest yoga. And so she's certified in forest yoga at the very highest level and has assisted Anna Forrest in trainings all over the world. And I took a deep dive into Baptiste yoga and got an advanced certification through Baptiste yoga, and then got my foundational training in addition to my other trainings in forest yoga as well. So our teacher training blends what we have learned about yoga through our teachers, and then our own unique spin on those teachers' teachings. And so we have we definitely have developed something that I think is very unique to us, and drawing on those lineages. And like Albina says, we believe that yoga is the realization of the self, really. That's what yoga, the 8 limbs of yoga is designed about, to help you draw out your true essence. And so that's a big part of what we do in our training, is that we do, not only do we do the asana, but we do a lot of self-inquiry, a lot of meditation, and we do a lot of deep spiritual work in the training, and in a way that's very empowering and transformative, so that people tend to walk away from our training feeling like, well, I've really made some growth and I'm ready to take on the world in a brand new way. So in that sense, I think it's very empowering and very inspiring. And that's part of our goal, is to give you tools to take ownership of your life, and to be in a space where the yoga is a vehicle and a tool to really realize the highest and best in you. So that's the intention. And we've been doing this a long time. Our own training took us to start yoga. We wanted to, there was something that we wanted to see in the world that we didn't think existed yet in Houston, which was a multidisciplinary yoga studio that was based in community and rooted in the practice. And so we started what we didn't see or couldn't quite find. We had to kind of follow our teachers into back rooms in some office building or at the basement of a gym. And so we wanted to create a space where it was primarily dedicated to yoga. And so we founded Yoga One in 2018, which we grew from 1 space to 7 studios all around the city, and eventually sold those studios and did a little traveling around the world with our family, our daughters, and our dog. And now we have landed in Austin and Taos, New Mexico. So we kind of are in both places. And we have been at our Blue Sky Retreat Center since March 12th, because it just seemed like a really great place to be during this pandemic. And now we're hosting guests who are kind of looking for a refuge from the chaos. And really that's not only is our space that, but that is what yoga is too, can be a refuge from the chaos if you can utilize the tools. And so that's what we've been leaning into. And what we want to offer you is the ability to share that with others. So not only will you go deeper into your own practice, for sure, I think that's a given, but also we want to give you the tools to be able to share this to the people that are in your world, whether that's right there in your family or in your community or your workspace, but anywhere that you might build a community online, which is seems to be the new normal now, is that all yoga, for a little while went online. I do think there's a space that we'll be going back into spaces again where we get to be close to each other and hear each other breathe. And in the interim, this is kind of how yoga is presented at the moment for the largest part. And every yoga teacher I essentially know in the world either increased their online offerings or suddenly had to figure out how to create one for the first time. So we part of our training is helping you do that effectively too. Do you want to add anything to that?
I don't know how the quality of the video is. I see a little bit of a lag. Do you guys see that? I think I'm gonna switch to another connection. Just 1 second, please. Are we back online? Give us a thumbs up if you can see and hear us. Awesome.
Yeah, we were just connected 2 ways.
Okay, now I think this is better. Well, do you guys, well, let me talk to you a little bit about the structure of this particular training. So as Raja mentioned, this will be our 4th online teacher training since March. And we completely did not expect the previous 3 to be completely full, so much so that they sold out in 1 week. And there was so much demand for the training that we decided to do yet another round. So usually we start the morning, this training takes place on the weekends from September 20th through October 11th. And for the first time in history, Yoga Alliance made an exception and allowed us to have online teacher trainings instead of in-person teacher trainings because of the global pandemic. So that has been extended through December 31st as of right now. Mm-hmm. And the way the format goes is it takes place on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday mornings. It is 9 a.m. Central Time start time or 8 a.m. Mountain Time. And we go until I think it's, 6 p.m. Central or 5 p.m. Mountain Time.
That's right.
Usually we start with the morning with an opening circle, which usually contains some sort of meditation and a grounding a ritual. And we, you get an opportunity to ask questions and connect with other trainees. And then we have about 60 to 90 minute yoga class. Then we break for lunch. And after lunch, we usually either cover some philosophy or do some personal growth work. And then also you get an opportunity to hone your skills as a yoga teacher and teach yoga on Zoom. Mm-hmm. Because we truly believe that practice teaching is a big element of you truly stepping powerfully, not only in your role as a yoga teacher, but also as a leader, thought leader, in a way it's facing a little bit your own fears of public speaking and being in front of a group of people. And to be honest with you, we were a little bit concerned. For years, for over a decade, we led teacher trainings in person. And we knew that, for the vast majority of people, it has always been a deeply life transformational experience. And we didn't know if it would happen in a similar way via Zoom. And we were so pleasantly surprised that the training that we led online were truly magical. The connection with everybody who participated was absolutely amazing, even online. It just goes to show you that, when we truly bring ourselves into the process and we open up wholeheartedly, no matter what and no matter how, we still get to connect with each other. And that part was absolutely mind-blowing and beautiful and amazing, soul-moving. Anything else?
I would add that there's an element that only you can, as each trainee brings. So each teacher training has a format, but each teacher training is different because we're responsive to the people who are there. And so the people who show up and how they show up shapes the training in a way too, so that, it does ask, we do ask a lot of our trainees, to be there fully and present and wholeheartedly, because your unique contribution shapes the training. And so, in a way, like, we're very dependent on the participation and the enthusiasm and the wholehearted jumping in of the trainees as well. So, if you want to just sort of have your screen black and kick back and say, oh, I'll watch this later on my own time, this wouldn't be the right training for you. That we may have a training like that somewhere in the future, but this is live. I mean, we're here like this all day, and you're there like that all day, and you're connecting with us and with each other, and we're in it to win it together. So it's not pre-recorded. It's fully immersive with us. And so that's a big piece of it too. Of course, there's some homework to do after sort of the live portion that completes your 200 hours. So if you look at the live portion in the weekends, they're allocated, that doesn't add up to 200 hours. So the rest of your 200 hours is doing some homework, watching a few videos on anatomy and hands-on assist, which are difficult to do live in any event in the moment. And then there's some alignment and posture clinic. We're going to do a lot of that live too, but there's also some sort of review with that. And then there's some reading that you get to do and write short observations of your experience of those readings. And then there's some teaching component where you go out and teach either with your friends or your dog or your neighbors or whoever will have you. And then a little bit of practice. You take a class and review our classes based on what we've taught you about how to look at a class. So basically, there's I can't remember how many hours are the live portion. How many weekends?
Well, I think it's 5 weekends.
So that's about we're slotting about 10 hours a day. So that's 2 days. So that's about 100 hours live with us, and then there's another 100 hours that you'll do on your own at your own pace. And when we say at your own pace, what we really mean is try to get it done by the end of the year type thing, so that you can make it under the deadline imposed by the Yoga Alliance. Whether or not you ever want to register with the Yoga Alliance, they have asked that our trainings be completed by then. We're going to be complete with our part with plenty of time for you to do your work. And we have a lot of people who've already, from our trainings earlier, who have already started registering with the Yoga Alliance. We could have a separate discussion about whether you want to register with the Yoga Alliance, but we want you to be able to, if you want to. And so that deadline is imposed by them and not so much by us. But there is that component that you'll do. And even when we do our trainings in person, there's still a live component and the homework that you go and do on your own. So in that way, it's not different.
And lastly, I want to add that, I was thinking, there are so many yoga teacher trainings, everywhere these days. What sets us apart? And I think there are a couple of things. One that I already mentioned is that ours really focuses on personal growth and transformation. So you will absolutely walk out of it, I want to say, like fully embodying your birthright to shape your reality, much happier, more joy, more self-expression, more connection, more love, towards yourself and towards others. And the other thing that sets us apart is that even when we led our yoga community in Houston, one of our top priorities was to make yoga accessible and available to everybody, meaning people from all walks of life, all body shapes, all ages. And I think our youngest trainee was 16? Mm-hmm. Our youngest trainee over the years was 16. And our oldest trainee was almost 80, Kathleen.
That's right.
In her late 70s. And I really like that about our community. And it's also translated to our online community as well. All walks of life, all bodies, all shapes, all ages. Because we deeply believe that yoga is literally for everybody. Well, shall we open it up for Q&A? Do you guys have any questions for us?
You can unmute yourself, or if you can wave your hand, then we'll unmute you if you're having technical difficulties. Oh, okay. So, Mary Helen, I saw your hand first, and then Roberta, you can go next. Can you unmute her?
No, you'll need to unmute yourself. So it should be at the top right corner. There's 3 dots. And if you click on that, yep, okay. You got it.
You got
it. What can you tell me more about forest yoga? I haven't heard of that branch of yoga or form of yoga. It sounds very interesting. What can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so Roger and I are both forest yoga certified teachers. And I would say that I probably spent over a decade of my life traveling around the world with my teacher. Her name is Anna Forrest. And the style of yoga is named after her. So she has written a book called Fierce Medicine. And the style of yoga, through Forest Yoga, I was able to heal on many, many different levels, physically, emotionally, spiritually. But the asana practice itself is a rather slow-paced practice. So if Baptiste Power Flow, it's power yoga, right? It's pretty, more vigorous, energetic, dynamic yoga. Forest Yoga is a slower-paced yoga focused on breath and feeling. And through that focus on breath and feeling, you get to access parts of yourself that possibly, at least in my experience, I haven't been able to access in a very, very long time. So it's a process of self-discovery. It's a process of self-healing. And as a result of that, I was able to evolve, strengthen my intuition, inner hearing. And to me, my intuition is my connection to that force bigger than me. And you can call it the universe, you can call it God, you can call it the divine. So
also on Albina's website, she teaches forest yoga classes on there. So if you went to her albinarippy.com/yoga, you could find some classes. The ones that she's teaching primarily would be the forest yoga classes. You could check those out. I think forest yoga is, her focus is yoga as a healing modality. And that's not to say it's easy. It's not sit and stretch yoga by any means.
It can be very challenging.
It can be challenging, but it's also adaptable. And that's one of the big things is you get the tools to be able to adapt the practice to your body, and then also be able to get into a point where you can grow and strengthen too. So it's, I wouldn't say it's easy. It's still challenging, but it's focused on breath, focused on feeling, focused on healing. Yeah, as a primary focus.
Well, as a matter of fact, on my website under yoga, you can experience Roger's classes. You can, which is, some of them are Power Flow. Then you can experience my classes, and then you can experience both of us teaching together, which is a combination of two of those styles.
Sounds lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Roberta, do you have a question?
I do. I was a little challenged finding the link to get on the call. So I didn't hear any information that was shared at the very beginning of the call. So you may have covered this or maybe not. So when we're going through the hours that you guys are actively teaching, will we be going through all of the different practices of yoga, from the hot sequence to the power flow to the forest?
It's a good question. First, I want to say your kitchen is beautiful.
I know. I was thinking the same thing.
It's like a backdrop versus like a green screen versus someone's actual kitchen, but I can tell.
We're live. We're live. Thank you.
Yeah, that was the most important thing I wanted to say. So we will teach you principles and sequencing, I believe, from Baptiste Yoga, and principles and sequencing from Forest Yoga. And that's it, basically, those two. And that's going to be more than enough for you to chew on during this training. So you'll get both, because we will both be your teachers. And so I will probably primarily focus on teaching Journey into Power, which is a set sequence. And it's got 52 poses in it, or something like that. It's a set sequence, and it can be modified and adapted in many, many ways for many, many different kinds of communities and the bodies that you see before you. And then we're going to teach you some sequencing principles that are for you to create your own sequences. And those will be using Forest Yoga methodology primarily. And so you'll get kind of two main tools. One, a set sequence that you could teach anywhere, anytime, and learn how to modify. for who you see in front of you, because I've taught it everywhere from, you know, a bunch of feisty young people who are ready to go, athletes and whatnot, to, you know, the transitional facilities at the homeless center where people are, you know, they may have back pain, they may be disabled in some way, and still teach from that template with a lot of modifications. So I kind of consider it like sort of like a go-to. Anytime I could teach it in my sleep and I wouldn't have to think too much about it, and I could just see where people were at and then kind of modify it that way. Versus a forest yoga sequence, which I think is can be a very advanced skill to create an empowering sequence from nothing using these principles. But we want to give you the tools to do both, so that not only can you, you know, just like, let's say walk into a yoga studio and I wanted to audition to teach a class there in a yoga community. I could teach a class without having to think too much in a very powerful way because I have a lot of practice with it, versus now I'm ready to create sequences based on, I don't know, something I want to explore, right? And that could be a forest yoga kind of a sequence. You've done both classes with us. So
Yes.
yeah, so you kind of know what it is that we teach. The thing that we're not teaching is sort of our classical hot yoga, hot hatha, primarily because we don't want to overwhelm you with too many sequences. We want to give you something as a template to teach from, so that we can all be sort of teaching from the same, let's say, guidebook in a way, and then also give you the power to play with these principles of sequencing. You want to add anything to that? Yeah. I think that covers it. Yeah, it's a good question, and we didn't answer that, so it's good.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
How many are registered so far in this session?
Not that many. So I think it's 3 so far, which is a little bit concerning to be honest, because, you know, the first 2 were sold out in the first week it rolled out.
And we're still a few weeks away.
We're a month away from the training.
Yeah.
Or less.
How many do you want to actually make the class go?
We'll need 10 or more.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll sign up then.
Thank you.
I'll go as soon as we're through.
Sure.
Thank
and
you.
we will have more people sign up, because people do inevitably kind of like to keep their options open.
Well, you know, I am a type, I'll tell you really quickly a story. So after we sold our yoga studio, you know, there was a lot of soul searching, and, you know, there was some judgment in the community, and people were, I don't know, saying we're sold out. But anyway, so the following year when we're traveling around the world, Roger said, well, wouldn't it be amazing if we led a yoga retreat somewhere on our travels, and we give people an opportunity to meet us in a beautiful place? So we decided to have a retreat in Amorgos, Greece, which is absolutely a beautiful place. So we started promoting the retreat like maybe 9 months in advance. And I'm a type of person who likes to plan things, you know, and Roger is more like impromptu person. But since I plan everything, it was getting close to be like 3 months out. And I had maybe 5 people registered, and I totally freaked out. I went into self-judgment. Oh, people don't want what I have to offer. Nobody loves us. People hate us that we left everybody. We left Houston. So I went ahead and released a bunch of rooms. So let's say we had 25 rooms booked for the hotel. I released like 15 rooms. And guess what? People were registering like the week before the retreat. So much so that in the end, I had to scramble with the hotel, trying to like alter the dates and squeeze people in. So the great lessons that I learned is most people apparently are not like me. A lot of people like to wait until the very last possible second to register. And to me, it's a process of surrender and trusting that whatever needs to happen will happen.
Well, I would go one further, is that I'm also the kind of person that will put like, I was shopping for lighting, and I put like 15 different things in the shopping cart. And then I just go slowly through the shopping cart and go, okay, not that one. And then like, okay, not that one. Okay, not that one. Until there's just one thing left in the shopping cart. But, I had to go through this process, right, of like weighing all my options as if like the world was matter, that was going to end if I chose the wrong pendant light or something, So we get it. It takes all kinds. Yeah. And we do tend to have people, we register right away, and then we have people that wait till the very last minute.
I mean, literally the day off, people often register.
Sometimes, like, as we're walking in to teach the class, people are trying to hand us, this is Rebecca, and hand us cash. We're like, what am I going to do with that? I'm about to start. So please don't wait until the last possible second.
Well, Roberta's already registered, and Mary Ellen said that she's registering right after.
Well, awesome. Yeah. Okay. Well, if there are no more questions right now, thank you so much for joining us in person. And if you weren't able to join us in person, you can email us, and there's a lot of ways to connect with us anytime, including Mary Helen. You can drive on up if you have a question.
Visit us in Taos.
Yeah,
I could. Maybe I'll go on a day drive.
There you go.
That would actually probably be really good for me to get out of my house.
Yeah, we haven't done that much ourselves. So.
We were in Santa Fe earlier this week, actually.
It was nice.
Were you?
Yeah, it was a nice change of scene.
Yeah. It's a slow time here, which is kind of nice for some people. For some people, I'm sure it's really hurting their business, but it has a silver lining in it. I think it'll change the world in some good ways also.
Well, everything that's in, and that's actually one of the reasons why we wanted to offer this training, because in every situation there's the potential for an opportunity, right?
Exactly.
Even when there's a pain, even when it's painful, there's an opportunity for growth. There's an opportunity to learn a lesson somewhere, to have some old layer shed. And I think a lot of people, we recognize that pretty quickly, like, hey, this could be an opportunity. I don't know what that looks like, but if we offer this thing, maybe some people also would like to, use this opportunity, because, in the past, they would be coming and going, and their life just got in the way of them maybe taking the teacher training that they've always wanted. And, a lot of people saw it like that, like, hey, I could sit here and chew on my fingernails until they're down to the bone, or I could do something that I've always wanted to do potentially online. And a lot of people have done that. And it's been really great to be able to offer that and to be able to be in that space with everybody. So we've done that, and I think we've grown a lot through that too, Albina and I, because at first we had our doubts around, well, does anybody even want to do this? Does this technology even work?
Nobody loves me anymore.
does this technology even work? Can we create real human connection via these Brady Bunch boxes? And the answer is yes. Human connection is so strong and so powerful, and we're so adaptable that you can do it just like this. And we've gotten more skillful at it too, I think. And so what a gift. We've learned a new skill, Every
challenge, it can either break you, or you can use a challenge as an opportunity to grow and expand.
Break you or make you.
Break you or make you. You can use it as an opportunity to expand beyond what you have always been before, or ever been before. All right. Well, thank you so much, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us. I am always just a text message away. If you think of any questions, you both have my numbers. Feel free to text me anytime.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. Appreciate both of you.
And Roberta, we may have to consult you on our kitchen. Yeah.
It is beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.